John Tortorella is always newsworthy. Now, normally I would probably just condense this into kind of a 30-second little clip in a News of the Day video. Not doing that today. There's not really a whole lot going on at September 3rd, and this is what Tortorella's kind of sort of mad about. There are other things he's mad about as well, like, for instance, the free agents that left. He's not out of line here. So last year, for those who may have forgotten, Columbus finally won a round of the playoffs. They finally got to the second round. Some real excitement in the city of Columbus for a team that might win something in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And in return, Dzingel, Duchesne, Panarin, and Bobrovsky, any of or all four could have said, yeah, we're going to stay here, and none of them did. So he's choked, and he's rightfully choked. And he also said in this interview, and I believe it was with The Atlantic, and it has been relayed since then through TSN Sportsnet, everybody else, because he gave them the soundbite they wanted, which is that he's disgusted with the idea that Zach Werenski is going to miss any time in camp. And he's not incorrect. He's not talking out of line here. And Tortorella isn't just saying these things just for a reaction or just to be torts. No, he is genuinely upset. And I get him when it comes to the UFAs. There's nothing more frustrating than being a fan, just as a fan, and seeing a guy leave a team that you cheer for that was pretty good. See him go to another team and say, I'm really looking forward to winning here. What? If this was all about winning, you probably would have stayed where you were. But players won't come out and say, well, I signed here because they gave me the biggest check. I signed here because they gave me a $10 million signing bonus, and I figured, that's pretty good. I think I'll stay here. And so because they come out and they say, oh, I want to win. This is about winning. It's all about winning. I think I have a shot at the cup here. I can understand from his perspective saying, wait a minute. We were building something in Columbus. You guys were a part of it. And now you're out. And then you throw at him about Zach Werenski holding out into training camp, which is possible. He's choked. I'm choked at both sides. I want to make this clear. I don't want to just throw players under the bus. Now I got the names of restricted free agents on the board. Marner, Laine, Rantanen, Lemieux, Provorov. That's Brendan Lemieux, not Mario. Point, McAvoy, Tkachuk. That's Matt Tkachuk. All right, not Brady Tkachuk. Connor, Fiala, Zaka, Werenski, Besser, Konechny, Carlo, D'Angelo. That's Marcus Pettersson, not the other one. And Marcus had 25 points last year, had a pretty good run with Pittsburgh. And Perlini. These guys being out, if these guys end up holding out into the season, there are some teams who are going to be very negatively impacted. Toronto would absolutely be negatively impacted by losing Marner. For Winnipeg, if Laine and Connor weren't in their lineup, that's about 60 goals out of their lineup right there. And you can talk about, well, from within, there's these guys who might be able to step in. And then the other problem is that starting next week, any guy on this board who hasn't signed, they're behind the eight ball. They are now behind in their conditioning. They are behind in being game ready. And it's a problem. We saw it with Nylander last year. William Nylander was not himself, not because he's lazy, not because he's a lousy player, but because he held out into the regular season and he was behind everybody else for the rest of the year. And it threw off his entire season, so the year was kind of a washout. And he has been a very popular target for hockey fans everywhere. We are looking at potentially multiple star players having a negative impact on their teams for holdouts. Again, this isn't just the players. This isn't just, well, you guys need to sit down and take whatever they're offering you. This is on the team as well. What throws me is that all of a sudden I'm starting to see articles that are saying, it's kind of crunch time now. Oh, they better sit down and talk. Yeah, I was saying that a month ago. I've been saying that for a while. The fact that there's no sense of urgency when July rolls around, I'm sorry, but RFAs, there should be a sense of urgency. Teams and players should be sitting down to get this figured out. Because while we have players who are going to be sitting out into training camp, it doesn't feel like teams really care a whole lot about whether or not players are going to sit out into training camp either. This might be as close as we get to a lockout now. It might just be that you have a whole class of rookies that all their contracts are up and GMs go, you're going to take 7 years, maybe 8. And the restricted free agents say, we don't want to take 7 years, we want to take 4. And the problem is that with a restricted free agent, you don't have an option. The only one that had the option is Sebastian Aho. And if he hadn't been signed to that offer sheet by Montreal, there's no way Aho's not on this list. Aho is playing for Carolina because Montreal gave him that offer sheet, not because Carolina would have eventually capitulated and given him that amount of money. There's no way Carolina would have given him that signing bonus, and he would not have been making an $8.5 million a year contract. There's just no way. And not over only 5 years. What we're looking at now is really a situation where, it's this terrible game of chicken, and we as fans are kind of stuck in between. If you cheer for teams that have these players on the board, your season's going to be negatively impacted if these guys don't sign. Now, Perlini, Carlo, I have them towards the bottom of the board because if they don't sign, it's not really a huge deal. That being said, for Boston fans, you've got Carlo and McAvoy out there as restricted free agents. That, if they don't have Carlo or McAvoy, I don't know that they make the playoffs. And I'm being honest. I think you take 2 of their top 4 defensemen out. I don't know. That's going to put a lot of strain on that blue line. You look at Philadelphia. Philadelphia is kind of being expected to turn things around, but you take out Konechny and Provorov. I don't know that they do. And it's going to be a very, very long season for these players if they hold out and if they're not at training camp. They open in about a week's time. I believe it's on the 11th or the 12th, depending on the team. So we are at crunch time. There is no way around this. And what drives me nuts is that now there seems to be an urgency in the media. I don't get the feeling there's any urgency from the players. That's not what's been coming out publicly anyways. And now you see all the rumor websites, all the hockey rumor websites, just trying to do whatever they can and say whatever they can to try to generate clicks, to the point where there's this silly rumor out there that Line A is going to go to Montreal and Domi's going. No. That's just, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, what? And again, I get it, but there's just we're in this muck where we have to get the market set. And it's strange because, again, when you look at unrestricted free agents, just July 1st, everybody gets signed that's a big name pretty much right away, and then they move along. Restricted free agents, we've got to do something. This system doesn't work. If all of these players are holding out, something doesn't work. And again, I'm not putting it just on the guys on the board, because for all of these guys to be holding out means there's something wrong at the National Hockey League level as well. Again, we're not looking at a lockout next year, but we may be looking at this kind of list of players almost every summer. We may be looking at a situation now where a restricted free agent a year out is going to look at an extension from his team and go, oh, we'll see what happens next summer. I want to see what everybody else is going to get. Which, again, doesn't happen with unrestricted free agents. Now, whether we end up with a situation where, I mean, you can't have it where there are UFAs coming out of their entry-level contracts. That would be ridiculous. But some kind of a situation where there's a marketplace, something in place, whether you push forward arbitration so they get arbitration sooner so we don't end up with this situation, or something happens that maybe offer sheets are less risky. And again, there's fans who are going to go, wait, no, that would be crazy. Let's just say that you make a $10.5 million offer sheet, and if they don't match it, you give them one first rounder. One. So you get Mitch Marner, you give him 1 first-round draft pick. Again, would that create a crazy marketplace? Yes. Would that go too far the other way? Probably. But this doesn't work. Something here doesn't work. So I'd be interested to know what you guys think in the comment section below. I know you guys are reading crazy rumors. I see comments about it on a lot of videos right now. Are you going to talk about these rumors? No. No, I'm not. Because, again, they're just rumors. And I get the feeling, too, that with all of these contracts out there yet to be signed, this is why we're not seeing a lot of player movement either. Teams can't trade when they don't know what their budget is. So, for instance, the Jets, I think they'd love to improve their blue line. They can't. They can't until they know what they're going to pay Connor and Laine. Until that's done, Winnipeg can't improve anything. So this is absolutely negatively impacting teams. Question I have for you guys is something simple. For me, it's Winnipeg that is most negatively impacted if all of these guys hold out into the regular season. Vancouver, to me, is kind of a close second, only because if Besser's not in the lineup, I don't know that there's a 30-goal scorer there. Pettersson should get to 30. I don't know that there's another one in the lineup, and I think that would probably sink any and all hopes of Vancouver even being able to snag a wild card. With Besser out of the lineup, I just don't see who could step into that spot. Other teams, I can see some depth that could fill in, and you know, Zacha hasn't reached that level yet. Perlini definitely won't affect Chicago negatively that way. You almost get the feeling with Perlini that they might want to trade him, but who knows, right? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and when do you think these guys finally start getting signed? Is there pressure now, or are we not going to talk about how much pressure is until like middle of November? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, whether or not you agree with John Tortorella and his assertion that players talking about winning when they were in a situation where they could win and they went somewhere else instead, whether that's enraging to you as a fan or not. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, I really hope we're not talking about all of these guys holding out into the regular season. That would be ridiculous. And people ask, who would be the first free agent to sign? I think it'll be Braden Point. But it could be Matt Tkachuk as well. I don't know. I wish I did. It'd be nice if I knew. Maybe it'll even be Kevin Fiala. That shouldn't be too difficult to get Kevin Fiala under contract, right? And yet it's September 3rd and he's still not under contract. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. I'll talk to you again soon.